of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome everyone to this fantastic sunset safari full of clouds. I wonder what type of weather and what animals will bring out for us today, and this is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
You are live. Welcome everyone, my name is Ellie and on camera today with me we are busy trying to track a giraffe. Seems like everything's been a bit quiet for the day. The beautiful clouds we saw just a few moments ago are there up in the sky and they're making everything a bit moody, let's put it that way. So we have been following these tracks of a giraffe that's gone pretty much all the way from home. And just as we'd like to welcome everyone over here, we would like to also welcome the schools. We've got 3 schools joining us on drive today. We've got Strawbridge, Sutherland and Windsor Woods with us. So welcome to the beautiful part of Africa that we call home at Djuma Game Reserve. Right, so onwards and forwards we go. As some of us would say, we are looking for pretty much anything we can find. We'd love to show you, and we would like to hear from you guys as well. So if there's any particular animal that you'd like to see, then let us know, and then maybe we will try to find it for you, and hopefully we will get lucky, and we will. There's always a chance that we might get surprised. But I think again the wind might blow us off this afternoon. We had a very windy morning, and normally the wind makes the animals a bit scared and cold, so they don't really like coming into the roads too much. So I think maybe we're just gonna go into where it's slightly thicker, where there are more trees, because I'm sure that's where we're gonna find a bit more of the animals. I had some hope that some of them would be here, that we would find that beautiful giraffe that walked all the way on the road, but seems like it was gone onto another place, and a place where we can't follow it. So we shall look for another giraffe. I like giraffes. They are one of my favorite, biggest animals in the whole of Africa. And they walk very funny. They walk like this, like, you know, like it's very hard for them to move around, and they take it easy, and you know, they've got to be careful. Very long legs, they might get tangled up. You never know. We're gonna look for a place warmer, but in the meantime, and while we do that, let's go over to Taylor, who wants to say hello to everyone.
Hello everybody, and welcome to, of course, another Safari Live. I'm very excited for the schools that have joined us today. My name is Hayden Craig, aka Batman. How cool is that? That Batman is behind camera today filming me. Pretty amazing. I feel pretty special, I'm not gonna lie. Now, we're driving around, and Ellie was telling you that she loves giraffe. Well, I love elephants, and that's what I'm hoping to find for you first thing this afternoon. But I think what we're going to have to do in order to try and find any of these elephants is actually head to an area where it's a little bit more dense with vegetation, so there's a little bit more trees and shrubs, because it's very windy today, and the animals don't like the wind too much, unless you're a lion or a leopard, even a cheetah. But basically the predators enjoy this weather, but elephants not so much. So that's what we're going to be doing, coming down into these drainage lines, where hopefully we'll find a whole herd. This morning I saw quite a herd of elephants too.
Sorry guys, seems like Taylor's busy fighting a few gremlins around, but don't you worry, there's always a safety net, and we're more than happy to have you back on board with us. We still haven't had any luck with the giraffe, I wonder where it's gone off to. But we're gonna check a few places. Maybe the giraffe is hiding where the tailless elephants are. We don't know, but we can certainly go looking. The wind is still howling. It is winter now, and it seems like we're getting a big storm that's coming all the way from Cape Town, one of the most famous cities of South Africa. Very beautiful place to be in. You see all those clouds around there? I think maybe they're trying to catch up with us, but I think good old Rusty is a lot quicker than all of them, so we'll be able to escape or go completely in the middle of them. I still don't know which one's gonna be. It's looking very dry around here. So you see, as we drive along, everything's very dry. Everything's turning of a yellow color. Beautiful leaves are not to be found all that much. Everything is starting to pretty much go into winter mode. So you see, during the winter months there's a lot less water because we don't get rain here during the winter, and everything's gonna carry on becoming of a beautiful yellow color. And what is yellow and pretty like the grass? The lions. So we're also hoping to maybe see if the lions have decided to come back today. This morning they were nowhere to be found, absolutely nowhere. So I'm hoping that maybe during the day, because it's been so windy and it's been nice for them to move around, not too hot, that then we'll also be able to see them. Who knows, maybe we'll get lucky with some leopard spots too. So here is to hoping. Summer, you're wondering what inspired me to do Safari Live. Well, I thought it was a very cool job from the beginning, and I had very good friends that were doing this job, and maybe you've seen them before. Their names are Brent and Jamie, and they are the first ones that I met that used to work here at Safari Live. And I always thought, wow, they've got such a cool job, I want to do that job too. Because as a Safari, then you get to spend all this time out in the bush and about the environment you live in, and you're constantly learning. So I think that's probably the best job, the one that you never get bored, because every day is different. I mean, look at my office. Isn't this the most beautiful office of them all? I don't think I could go back to living in the city. It's not for me. Right, it seems like Taylor won the battle with the gremlins, so let's go back to her and see how she's doing for elephants.
We are back, and we're racing around looking for elephants. Now, there was a question a moment ago, and I'm so sorry, I got attacked by some gremlins. And, sorry, thanks, Megs. Anyways, so it was from Summer. And gremlins, what I wanted to tell you was I actually wanted to describe to you what a gremlin was. So a gremlin is this little word we use to describe the little signal problems, in case Ellie didn't tell you. So I just went through one of those spots. So the question was, of course, what inspired me to do Safari Live? Well, when I first started guiding, I really didn't know about Safari Live at all, because I only started guiding about 6 years ago or so. And almost 6 years ago. And I just was a guy taking people on safari all the time, and I thought it was the greatest job in the whole world until I found out about Safari Live. So then I decided that I would like to do something like this, and I always like to be in front of the camera. I'm always an attention seeker, so this job sort of suits me quite well. I was always trying to outperform my brother, and I love the bush, so it's perfect. It's the best thing, of course, in the world. And then I got the job here, and I was so happy, and now I get to take all of you on safari, which is even better. I get to meet all new people every single day, and I thought I used to meet a lot of people doing the job I was as a traditional guide. Wow, no, not when there's thousands of people watching all in one go. Right, let's find these elephants. I think we're going to go the other way. Let's go back. So we have a question from Riley, and that question is, what is the most popular place to find animals? Well, Riley, it depends on a lot of different things. Like today, because it's so windy, I was saying to you that the animals were going to try and keep out of the wind. So I want to check areas where there's lots of bushes around, but I also know that the animals will drink water every single day. So I'm also going to check all the watering holes. But you can literally find anything anywhere in the bush. But if you know what that animal likes to eat, some animals have sort of things that they love to feed on. And if there's any trees that have got fruits, for example, go and check all those trees, because you might find lots of different animals coming around to try and eat as much of that lovely juicy fruits as they can before they disappear, before the other. So those are always good spots to check. Otherwise, you've just got to bumble about like what we're doing at the moment, and then hit them like that. Because these are not wild, these are not animals in a zoo. They've got collars on, the internet, and then we actually have to try and find them. So
Oh my goodness, seems like Taylor's putting up a good fight with all of those gremlins all around us, and we have managed to find a beautiful kudu. Yay, an animal! Don't go, be friendly. Ooh. We are almost there, and he's gonna carry on walking into our frame. Are you not? Hello, boy. So this beautiful, stunning creature over here that perhaps kudu. And in this case, he's a boy. You see he's got all the horns on top of his head, and all of the girls, they do not have not even one horn. Oh, are you gonna carry on going behind us? Alright. I'm gonna carry on trying to go so that we can have a look at it. No? Are you, please? Pretty please? We really just want to make friends with you. Nope. Gone all the way in front of us. Alright. Sorry. I think he is interested in a girl that we saw earlier on. At this time of the year, then all the boys are looking for all the girls. So he's not interested in us. There he is again. He stopped running. Amina, you're wondering if it's hard to work with wildlife. Yes and no. It is. They're not predictable, or they're not as predictable as we'd like them to be, so they're not always in the place where we think that they're going to be, and they don't always do what we think they're going to do, which is one of the cool things, because it always keeps you thinking and guessing. You're like, oh, what are they going to do? Are they going to go here? Are they going to go there? Is he looking at me because he wants to go somewhere? Is he going there because he wants to do this other thing? So it's always challenging, because you've got to try and get to them and understand what they want to do. How's that for a good scratch? But I think it's also quite rewarding. Isabel, you're wondering what a kudu is. Well, a kudu is this animal that we are looking at. It is a very big, deer-like looking creature, and I think he is probably the size somewhere between an elk and a deer in terms of size, so he is still very big, and this is probably the biggest, or it is the biggest species of antelope, and by antelope I mean something that looks like a deer, like this one over here that we have in this area. He is beautiful, don't you think, Isabel? Chrissy, you're wondering why a kudu has stripes on its body. Well, that's a very good observation. So, a lot of these animals, they need to have very good camouflage to hide when they go into the bush, just to make sure that animals that would like to eat them, like the lions, don't actually find them. So, I know it's very obvious when the kudu is standing there out in the open, but when they go into a very thick area where there are a lot of trees and a lot of branches and a lot of leaves, those stripes actually help them camouflage and hide better in between the branches of the trees. So it's a lot harder to see them, and they can then hide from the predators, and sometimes the lions won't even know that they're there. So that's why they have all those pretty markings that almost look like somebody dropped some paint. Braden, you're wondering if kudus are endangered. No, not in South Africa. They are quite a common species, and we see them often, which is a good thing. We're happy when the animals are not endangered. Look at those pretty markings. Riley, you're wondering what the kudu's favorite place to be is. Well, I think it's probably a place where he's got his face in between a lot of leaves and he's eating very yummy food. I think that's probably the happiest place for all of the antelope and all of the animals that we have around this area. Wherever they can find very good food. Chrissy, you're wondering what the kudus like to eat. Well, the kudus like to eat the leaves of the trees. Sometimes, very rarely, we see them eating grass, but normally they just eat the leaves of the trees. They don't like eating other things. Okay, I think, sorry guys, I've got another safari vehicle that wants to move, so I'm just gonna move a little bit just to give them a bit of space to go through the street. Because you see, even here sometimes we get a bit of traffic. It's just a kudu. Alright. Okay, I think maybe we're gonna let somebody else enjoy the kudu for a little while and we're gonna carry on. Or are they gonna carry on? Maybe they're gonna carry on and then we can enjoy the kudu a little bit longer. Hello! Okie dokie. Let's go back to our kudu friend. So you see, he hasn't moved. Isabel, you're wondering how much a kudu needs to eat. Well, they are a big creature, so they need to eat quite a bit. They probably need to eat about maybe 10 kilograms, 15 kilograms of food a day. I think that is, I can never remember if it's more in pounds or in kilograms. So I'm sorry. My brain sometimes only works in kilograms. And I think maybe he spotted the girl that was walking not too far from here. You would be lucky to see her, wouldn't you? See, I think he's quite happy where he is. Who knows? Maybe this is one of his favorite places too, and that's why he's so happy to stand there. I'm sure also there's, because he's behind a tree, there's a little bit less, it's a little bit less windy for him. Because they also get cold when the wind starts blowing and it's a very cold breeze. What you hearing out for? I think he's very patient, and you see both of his ears are moving all the time. Colby, you're wondering if a kudu is related to a deer. Could be. That's millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and more millions of years ago. They came from a common animal, a common dinosaur, but no. The ones that we've got here and the ones that you see perhaps in North America are not related to anything. The kudus here, they are closely related to other species that look pretty much or very similar like this one over here. They're just a bit smaller in comparison to this one. You see how regal he is with those beautiful horns. They can get very big. And look, his mouth is full. He's got a bunch of food, lots of leaves that he's eating. So I think maybe he was pretending to listen out while he was eating a bit more. Chrissy, you're wondering what the kudus use their antlers for. Well, those are not antlers, those are horns. They are stuck in the head of the kudu for all their lives. It's not like some of the other creatures where they change them every year. In this case, he will have them until he dies. And the males use them for two main reasons. One of them is to fight or try to fight when there is a predator like a lion that's trying to come and eat them. But more than that, they regularly use it to show how big they are to other males. Because kudus don't fight all that often, and what they do is they'll stand next to each other and start puffing up and trying to show which one of them is taller. And that way, the one that is smaller will back away and then just pretty much leave. But if not, if they are roughly the same size, and then they fight. And obviously, if they want to have a big fight, then they need to have extra strength, and then they use the horns. But you see, because of the shape of the horns, you see that it goes up around in a spiral. Sometimes it happens that the kudus get tangled up. Two kudus get tangled up, and then they cannot untangle themselves. And that is a big of a problem. Can you imagine if they get just pretty much with their heads locked up and then they cannot move away from each other? So if they don't manage to move or untangle themselves, sometimes they can die because then they can't eat, or sometimes a lion gets lucky and gets two kudus instead of just one. Well, I think he was quite friendly to us. Nadia, you're wondering how big a kudu's horns can get. Well, on average, if you just take a measure tape and you go it around the outside or the outer part of the horns, they are on average maybe 1.2 meters. So still quite long. And if you stretch them out, I'm sure it would be a lot more than that. But I think this guy is he's only coming. They normally have two perfect turns in their horns, and sometimes they start getting the third one. But I think this guy, then, just looking at his horns, he's a bit young. So he's still got to grow, and his horns are still going to grow a lot more than that. Can you imagine how much bigger they're going to be? Alright, I think maybe Lexi, no, they don't shed their horns. So the main difference between the antlers and the horns is that the horns, they stay in the animal's head all their life. Once they start getting them, normally when they are a few months old, then it's almost like the horn is fused onto the head, and there's no way of taking it out of the animal while the animal is alive. So they don't shed them, and they just continue to grow all throughout their lives. And they're made of a substance that's very similar to your fingernails. So imagine if you had horns on your fingernails. How funny would that be? But just a bit harder in the case of the kudu than maybe your own fingernails. Pretty icky, isn't it? Okay, we're gonna leave this bull over here because I'm sure he's tired of listening to me talking. And we're going to carry on and see what else we can find. I'm still hoping for giraffe. I would like to see a giraffe today. See if the air is a bit cleaner up there in the sky where it keeps its head. But I suppose we'll have to find one first to know and ask it. Let's see. What else can we see? Not too much around here. Beautiful road. You see all of these roads, imagine no signs. So when you start driving, you've got to learn them all. Abby, you're wondering how the animals or pretty much all of the animals that are here, that are looking at us now, they've been seeing us since they were pretty much, some of them pretty much since the day that they were born. So they learned that we mean no harm and we're not trying to get them. That's why we don't get too close to them, so that they are okay with us being there. All of that we mean well. We are in the middle of the African bush, so sometimes our signal, gets a bit cold and it doesn't cooperate with us, but here we are once more, so we are more than happy to carry on. And now we've come onto this beautiful dam, and it seems like we've got some buffalo all the way down there. We've got 3 boys. The 3 caballeros, maybe. Ha ha ha. So these 3, they are 3 old bulls, and normally they're not together with all the girls. I think they get tired of following all the moms with all the children, and they pretty much spend their time on their own. Doesn't he look happy to you guys? It's almost like he's got a mask in front of his face. Are you also eating? I think we've caught them all at maybe lunchtime. Abby, you're wondering how many animals do we normally see? Well, every day is different. So every day we see a different number of animals. So some days we see lots, some days we see thousands, and well, not maybe thousands is a bit too much, but we see lots of them. And then some days, like this morning, we drive and we drive and we drive, and then we see maybe 2 or 3. So not too many. It depends on many things, and that is why we love the job that we do, because we never know how many of them we're actually going to find. I think yesterday we saw these 3 buffaloes all together. There's 3 of them, not too far from here. But I think maybe they've just come all the way up here because there's lots of water here, and I'm sure they were feeling thirsty. Colby, you're wondering how old buffaloes get. Well, they can normally between 30, and if they're very, very lucky, the books say that they'll manage to live to 40 years. I think that's a bit too much, but they can live a very long time, up to 30 years. So I've just got one of my fellow rangers, Taylor. She's looking for me on the radio, so I'm just going to answer her call quickly. Taylor Ferrali. Okay, copy. Thanks. Alright, so you see, we normally, when we come out into the bush, then we keep in contact with other rangers that are driving around, and we help each other out, and we let each other know what's happening, if there's an animal in a certain area or something big we want to see. And it's especially useful when we go looking, or when we just have the tracks of an animal, because then we start to try find where they've been just by following where they've been walking. Ah, well, we've got another big friend down here, of course, Harry the hippo. Brayden, you're wondering if the horns of a buffalo are used for defense. Yes, they are. They use them to fight off lions and other animals that might try to harm them. Also, they're particularly dangerous, the horns, when, if they come at a human. But a lot of the times they also use them to fight one another, because when they're trying to show who's the big boss, then the way that they do it is pretty much by going head on, and then they start hurting each other straight on. So that's why they need to have all that extra protection in their head. Can you imagine banging your head against the person next to you? It's really sore. So imagine now doing it running. You've got to have some sort of a helmet to protect all of your insides from getting hurt and then getting dizzy and maybe passing out. So very powerful horns, and the tips of the horns can be very sharp, and a lot of the times when the lions come and they try to eat the buffalo, then they'll use the tip of the horns as well, because they can cut them and hurt them quite a bit. But I think our boys here, they're having a very happy Friday afternoon. I think the 2 on the right are actually almost falling asleep. The one in the middle for sure has got his eyes closed from what I can see all the way over here, whereas the one on the right seems like he's almost battling the need to go for a bit of a snooze. And we can see the skin, you see that there are almost like bare patches at the back. As they start getting older, then they start losing some of their hair, and then they'll have to use a lot of mud to cover it up to protect their skin from the sun. Alright, seems like Taylor managed to find some more signal, and then let's head over to her to see how her search for elephants is going. I'm sure she will find them this afternoon. Have a good feeling.
Only finding footprints of these elephants so far, Ellie. Now, Ellie's a very good friend of mine, and she was very kind one day. She gave me some lucky beans from a plant, but now I have left those lucky. So, I think that's why I can't find the lucky beans. Perhaps we'll have to look for a lucky bean plant ourselves, and then maybe our luck will turn. But it all has something to do with the weather. Oh, but I do know what I want to show you. Look what I've just seen on the ground. Let me jump out. It's a track of an animal. Have you spotted what track I'm going to show everyone, Craig? You think so? It's a big footprint too. It's not of an elephant. I'm going to show you a lion track from a big male lion. So it's in here, and this is his track over here. Let me get a little piece of stick, and then that will show you a bit easier. So here's his toes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the back of his foot. There's 1 little lobe, 2 little lobes, and 3 little lobes. So that's how you tell that it's a cat footprint. So if you've got cats at home, all you got to do is pick up your cat's foot and look underneath it, and you'll see the bottom of the padding of the foot has got 3 little bumps at the end. So that's a way that you can tell. And look how big it is in comparison to my hand. I'm going to put my hand like that. It's basically the same size. Now, it's not because I've got small hands, but this is from a male lion. So he was walking in that direction. But it's not from today. Got caught on a tree there. That happens often. I think it's probably from maybe 2 days ago. I had some very fresh lion tracks coming through here, and I think it's from the same pride. Now, we've got lions. They can be anywhere. They could have been just watching me in the long grass. But luckily, I did check before I got out. But they're very camouflaged. That's really nice to see. A lion track, a whole African lion. But now let's keep following. Oh, here's fresh elephant tracks too. Craig, can you show those ones in the middle of the road? Look at that. So those big round circles on the floor over there, that's from an elephant, and we're going in the right direction. Their toenails just at the tip of the track. So I'm going to keep trying to follow these elephants and track them down. I'm going to send you across to Ellie, who's found herself a pile of bones.
A pile of bones indeed, and all of these bones actually belong to a buffalo. A buffalo that sadly, I believe, was eaten by lions many months ago. Now, we're not too far from this other buffalo, so I want to be careful. But just to give you guys an idea, and I want to try and pick up one of the bones that I can find around here, and I don't want to grab them all too much. You see, this is a rib from a buffalo, so see how much bigger than me they are. Imagine. So much bigger than a human, this buffalo bones. And then another interesting bone that I want to show you is this one. This is the jaw of the... What? Where are you going? Come back. This is the jaw of the buffalo. You see all the teeth around here, so they only have the teeth here at the back, and they don't have any front teeth like what we do. So you see there's... Well, actually they do have them, but not down here. So all of the cavities and everything else, this is where the teeth used to be, but you see, very different from ours. All of ours down here. Right, I'm not too happy to be touching too many bones, and you never know what's been around them. So we just thought it would be quite interesting to show you, because this is where a lion ate a buffalo many months ago, and you see all of the bones are still here, but eventually in the next few months I'm sure we're going to be seeing less and less of them, because sometimes the elephants will come around and they'll pick a bone and, you know, they'll take it somewhere, and then maybe a giraffe will come and grab a bone, and then they'll take it somewhere else. And the hyena comes and they grab a few bones, and then they take them somewhere else. So in the next few months, very likely we won't even know that there was a buffalo that died here. So everything is used, even the bones of some of the animals. Ooh, I'm losing things around here. even the bones of the animals sometimes get eaten by other animals. Just like you drink your milk for calcium, and I'm sure your mothers have told you that you need to drink your milk to grow strong bones, sometimes the animals out here in the wild, what they do is because when they don't drink milk anymore and when they're big, they'll come and they will chew on bones. Whew, okay, I'm gonna try going around. Sadie, you're wondering what buffalo eat. Well, they eat grass, and they eat a lot of it every day, all their lives. But the good thing about the best way of absorbing all of the nutrients from everything that they eat. So every single vitamin, every single tiny little thing that is good for you is found on the grass. They will be able to absorb it into their body, and it'll make them very strong. They are yours. Alright, we're gonna head back towards the water. Let's go over to Taylor, who's still bumbling along in the bush, and see what she's up to and see if she's managed to find those Ellies.
We have, you know what I said to Craig? Now you've got to look very carefully. There is an elephant hiding there, but there's one coming towards us, thankfully, because I saw their footprints on the road. I showed you them and I said we cannot be too far behind these elephants, and we were right. And I drove through here. Craig, I found one just on this side, but I'm going to have to reposition. So I was driving and I said, they must be close. I can smell them. Now elephants have a very sort of a musky smell to them. It smells a little bit like drain water and like a stable, like a horse's stable. But they're all moving off into the bushes except this one. Now don't run away. This looks like it's a young boy just in here. But there we go. Finally, we found my favorite animal in the whole wide world. How exciting is this? He is beautiful too. Now, the rest of the family has already moved off and out without him. You can see he's hanging towards the back now. And that's just because with a family of elephants, it's all the girls that live together. So all the mums and the aunts and the grandmothers and all their daughters will stay in the herd. And as a young elephant reaches about 15 years old, they'll get kicked out. Hey, look at him pushing with his head, trying to find some nice food. Now, Colby, you're wondering if elephants are endangered. They are endangered, but you know, we're very lucky that the poaching rate on elephants has slowed down, especially in South Africa. It's not too bad. But sadly, there's still people that want to kill elephants in other parts of Africa for their tusks. So yes, they are still endangered. They're not quite as endangered as the rhinoceros, though, the black and the white rhinoceros. And they seem to be being persecuted. They're being targeted quite heavily at the moment. But in this area, we've got good security that patrol the areas constantly on the ground, in the cars, on foot, and in the sky with helicopters and all sorts of other things to try and keep these animals safe. And you can see he's very happy with us. He's not bothered by us at all. And it's not because he's a friendly elephant. It's not because he's tame. He is a wild elephant. But we've been moving around with these animals for over 30 years now, which is amazing, don't you think? That people have been coming on safaris for many, many, many years. So now they've learned that we don't want to hurt them while we're in these cars. So they've become quite relaxed with us, which is really nice. And then it gives us the opportunity to sit only a couple of feet away from these creatures. They're not always happy, though, I must tell you. Some days they're happier than others. And I'm surprised that we're able to even see this herd at all because of the wind. Because normally on a day like today, they can be quite grumpy. Now, as we sit and we watch him, he's got a mouthful of something. And Riley, you were wondering exactly that. What is he eating? So, Riley, it looks like he's feeding on grass at the moment. And did you see how nice and green some of that grass is that he's getting into his mouth? And you may have seen all around us that the grass looks quite yellow. And it's because he's pushing over some of the trees. You see, he's finding the nice green grass that all the animals have missed, and also that the sun hasn't burnt. See, hiding underneath those shrubs? So he's a very clever elephant. He's very powerful, so he is able to pick up branches and even ones with thorns on without getting pricked at all. And because he's so strong, he'll lift them up, pull out all that nice, lovely green grass, and then he'll drop the tree, or he'll throw it somewhere else. But he's a small level elephant still. He's still a youngster. He's got a lot of growing to do. And this is one of my favorite questions. Jaden, you're wondering why are elephants my favorite animal? You know what? It's because when you sit with an entire herd of elephants, and I've been very lucky, I've had some really great elephant sightings. It's like they're almost more human than they are animal. So they come around you and they just ignore you like you're not even there and feed. And to have an elephant walk right past the vehicle and stare straight into your eyes, it feels as though something is looking into your soul. I don't know how to describe it. It's a very humbling experience having the largest mammal on earth move right past you and not even wanting to hurt you. It's a really incredible, and it's like I said, it's a humbling experience, so I don't really know how to describe it, but every time I'm with them I just have the most amazing sightings, and I always have the best memory. And not the best memory, the best memories in these sightings. But elephants have got very good memories. They seem to remember quite a bit, in fact. But he's going to eat the whole day. And he's also going to go and drink some water. They might actually be going down into the drainage line to dig for water now. And Raven, you're wondering, Graydon, Graydon, you're wondering, what do elephants do if they get food stuck in their trunks? Well, if you look very carefully, they don't actually put anything up their nostrils. They just use their trunks like an extra hand, and then they wrap it tightly around. You see there, the little tip? The nostrils are just inside those little tips there, holding on. You see, that looks like it's a thorny one. And then it's going to put it into its mouth. So it shouldn't get something stuck in its trunk. However, sometimes they sniff the ground to pick up different scents. And I wonder if they don't sniff too hard and every now and then suck up a stone. Then they would have a little bit of a problem. But then I think that they would just blow very hard, sort of, and it will probably sound something like this, to try and get that stone out. But I've never seen an elephant with a stone up its trunk before, but I'd imagine that it would do something like that. It would probably wave it around, trying to shake it loose, but he seems to be too clever to get anything stuck up his trunk. But they use the trunk like a straw, though. They suck water up with it and then squirt it back into their mouths. Now, if we look at an elephant, you can see all over their bodies they're covered in wrinkles. And Michaela, you've wondered, what are these wrinkles for? So Michaela, it's very important that the animals out here, and particularly the elephants, have this wrinkly skin. It creates more surface area. So if you were to take an elephant's skin and you were to iron it out, it would be much larger if you ironed out those wrinkles. So in between those little grooves that they have in their skin, it actually helps cooling them down. So it's a way to try and keep cool in the hot African sun. And then they've also got their big ears, which are sort of shaped like Africa, if you use your imagination, which is quite cool. But they'll flap them too and actually cool down their bloodstream. So they've got lots and lots of veins. You can't really see them too well now. You can see them a little bit on the tip of the ear, but they've mainly got them on the underside. And by moving their ears around, it makes them nice and cool. And then my favorite thing that an elephant will do to keep itself nice and cool, I sometimes wish I could behave like an elephant, is to go to an edge of the water, to a dam, and swim. Elephants love to swim and they're really good at it. Or to cover yourself with mud. Imagine sucking up mud in your trunk and then spraying it all over your body. It's one of the most amazing things. Right, but unfortunately that is all the time we have for you, for all the schools that have joined us today. I hope that you've enjoyed your time with us, and the elephants and the buffalo and the kudu and all the other animals. We have to say a big thank you to them, of course, and we'll see you next time. I hope to hear from some of you again, but I'm going to send you back across to Ali.
Welcome everyone once more. In case you were already watching, which we hope that you were doing, we are out here looking for any possible tracks for any creatures that might be roaming around this area. I think some of them are still a bit too calm or a bit too shy, so I think maybe I'm just going to start running through the bush, see if I can find anything that way. Hopefully something will come and eat me. Hopefully not, but just let us know if you are around. If you've got any comments, any questions, you can use the hashtag Safari Live, and then we would be more than happy to get back to you guys. I'm not too sure where we should go now. I think we have checked pretty much all over the roads up in this area, so maybe we should actually try once more, see if there's anything around. And I'm really hoping now that we're gonna find us some more lucky beans, because I think we need them in this cold, just to be able to attract some of the animals that might be hiding away from all of us. While I search for the lucky beans, let's go over to Taylor, who doesn't seem to be needing them today.
Not yet, Ali, but collect them. Get buckets full of lucky beans, please. I will wear them. I'll put them in my socks. I'll put them in my shirt. I'll put them in every possible spot on this car that I can possibly find. But we're still sitting with a herd of elephants. Now, most of the herd have actually moved off and down into the drainage line, so I'm hoping to catch up with them maybe in a couple of minutes. Once this boy disappears, we'll then go and look for the rest of the herd. But if you have just tuned in, welcome back. We've just finished with the school, so we'll be answering all of your questions, and I hope that you were sending them through anyways. Remember, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. That is the way to get hold of us. And if you have taken any cool screenshots, you're more than welcome to share that with us too. We'd love to see them. But we were just with this young, gentle giant. He doesn't seem to be particularly phased that the rest of the herd has left him behind, so I suspect that he's been in the process of being sort of removed from the breeding herd completely now. But one thing that I have noticed is on his left tusk, if we have a closer look at that amazing notch that he's got sort of taken out of his tusk. How cool is that? Now, that could be from a lot of different things. It could be from him rubbing up against the tree. It looks like he's been doing some serious digging, but that doesn't just happen overnight. That actually takes quite a bit of time. But very, very nice. And that's something that you could use. That could be a key identifying feature. I don't think it's particularly common with elephants. I've only seen that a couple of times. But really, really nice nonetheless. And he's just munching away. He's eating some buffalo thorn at the moment, but a while ago he was eating lots of lovely green grass. He looks like he's struggling a bit. See how he carefully with his trunk maneuvers those very thorny leaves, because remember, the buffalo thorn is also known as hackensteek. It's got a sharp thorn, a curved thorn, and then as well as that straight thorn. So when he puts it in his mouth, he wants to try and angle it to the best of his ability so that he's able to, of course, eat it quite easily and not get prickled too much. I'm sure they do get prickled every now and then, but they're quite used to it. But not particularly large just yet. I think still got lots and lots of growing to do. I still think he's quite young, sort of in his mid-teens. Now, Edward, we were looking at this elephant, and I don't know if he's got them on this side, but on the other side of his ear, we've repositioned. He had a hole, and you were asking what would have caused those holes, or why does he have holes in his ears? So it could be anything from a thorn that maybe pierced through the skin. Remember, the skin on the ears is the thinnest out of their entire body. He's actually got very hairy ears, grey hairs too. That's quite sweet. Look at that. So he could have been jabbed by a thorn or something, just moving through vegetation, and then what happens is that often the bacteria eats around it and creates the most magnificent shapes. I mean, I've seen elephants with lots of little holes and larger ones, and my particular favorite is Daryl, my favorite elephant. His name's not really Daryl, but we just call him that. I guess that named him that. And we see him down at Sabi Sabi Earth Lodge, and then he comes up to the northern Sabi Sands every now and then. And he's my favorite example of this sort of happening. So it's almost formed the shape of the Snapchat symbol, or a ghost, or a bell. It looks exactly like that, which is really quite nice to see. Young man, are you going to come over and say hello in a moment, or are you too busy stuffing your face? I think he's too busy eating. Hello, boy. Anna, I think you've got that twisted a little bit swapped around. I think the question was, why can't elephants swim but hippos can? Is that correct, Max? I want to check that I've got it the right way around, that the question came. Ah, there we go. Sorry, no. Anna, sorry, that's my mistake. It came through incorrectly. You're correct in saying, why is it that elephants can swim and hippos can't? Well, I suppose elephants are very good at swimming if you've ever watched them. I think they must have a little bit more buoyancy in their bodies. Now, there's obviously a big speculation about hippos swimming, because if any of you have ever watched a video of hippos at zoos and they have those sort of clear or glass tanks where you can see through them, it really does look like a hippo is swimming. So some people say that they swim, some people say that they don't. To me, they look like they're just treading water, which is exactly what an elephant does. But ideally, a hippo, to get around quicker, they sink down to the bottom of the water all the way, which an elephant can't do. And then they walk and they run along the base of the water. And they actually move quite quickly. So elephants can't do that at all. So I think it's a very similar tactic what elephants and hippos are doing, the way that they tread. So I've read different articles and different books that say, people say that hippos can swim, others say that hippos cannot swim. And it's evident from any of the videos that I've ever seen, it does look like they're able to move around on water. Whether it's because they're propelling themselves off of the bottom of the water with their very powerful hind legs, it doesn't look like they've got powerful little legs, but they can move, so they definitely got some muscle in them. So once they sink to the bottom, maybe as they're going to make their ascent to the surface of the water, as they sort of push off the bottom, I almost feel like I need to demonstrate, but I can't because the elephant is here. So sort of pushing off the bottom and then doing this with their legs to get to the surface eventually. So maybe that's why they look like they're swimming, but they're not really, their feet aren't maybe doing so much because they're just using, well, the propulsion from their hind legs. I don't know. We have to find someone who studied them and get their opinion. Right, let's catch this elephant. He's just going to come out here. Hello, boy. No, I'm just going to see if we can roll here. He's so busy feeding. AKA, you're wondering if an elephant's tongue... I thought we were going to make it, Craig. Almost. I'm going to have to go a little bit further forward. Sorry. If an elephant's tongue is as sensitive as a human's tongue. No, I don't think so. I think because of all the vegetation that these animals are constantly feasting upon, I think that they are a lot more robust, those tongues, and used to putting prickly things or sandy things in their mouth. Whereas if you and I had to go and take that buffalo thorn and try and put it in our mouth, before it even got there, our lips and the skin around our mouth would be torn by all the thorns. It will be bleeding, and if we had to chew down on it, it will completely rip up our tongues. So I always like to describe an elephant's mouth like a gardener's hands, and a gardener that doesn't use gloves over time, or a person that walks barefoot all the time. So over time their hands or their feet get used to the sort of harsh conditions of what they're working with. So the prickly thorns, or the hot ground, the uneven stones and the sharp stones. And then eventually over time, the more and more you do it, your feet and your hands become less sensitive. They start to become more hardy. You see calluses and things forming, and those all help to protect, of course, in your case, your hands or your feet. And I'm sure it's fairly similar with elephants, because if you ever watch just a little elephant, you'll notice how gentle they are when they put food in their mouth. So I think their tongues start off very, very gentle, and then they slowly get tougher and tougher as they go on. But what a gorgeous boy. He's very happy with us being here, and I'm always happy when the animals are relaxed around us. And he's just munching on some bush willows now. Oh, wonderful. Well, it seems as though the Mara team is out and about. I hope they don't get caught in a rainstorm today. Let's go across and say hello to Jamie.
Hello and welcome to a very dark and stormy Masai Mara, where we are sitting trying to decide whether or not we should drive any further in that direction. I think that's a no, Dave. My name is Jamie. This afternoon, Dave is on camera with me, and I would like to introduce a very special addition to our team. This is Pucker. And Pucker's name means cat. Now, Pucker at the moment is all wrapped up because, as I've just mentioned, the weather is a little bit foul this afternoon. Storms rolling in. Any rain is great because it means fantastic grasses for the wildebeest as they make their way in this direction. What it means for us is, well, that we have to have all the flaps down. Just when Dave got settled and outside of a vehicle, he's now trapped inside, basically a tent once again. So, Pucker, how are we feeling about this?
Paco arrived on a truck yesterday. So far, her key doesn't turn too well, and her clutch sticks, and I could never remember her name, so I kept calling her Pukey, so I think that's just my punishment for not being able to know exactly who she is. It means cat. Hopefully it brings us some cat luck. I'm still umming and ahhing about this weather. There's blue skies where you can't see them, which is off that way, and I think the storm's blowing away. I think we're going to be okay for this afternoon, but we're not going to go too far just in case. Right, the other wonderful thing, I don't know, should we try driving, Dave?
Yeah.
Should we try driving along? Don't forget to send through your questions on #SafariLive on Twitter. Ooh. Not quite as quiet as Wendy or Rusty. There we go, look, got something to show you already. Some buffalo sheltering from the wind. Lucian, you say this... Oh, we also don't have any brakes, which is good because it's muddy, so, you know, you shouldn't be using brakes anyway. There we go. Lucian, you say this place looks so huge. Absolutely, so do the buffalo. But the sense of space that you get out here is enormous. And for us now, we travel absolutely enormous distances at times, 200, 300 kilometers easily. It takes us about 3 hours to get to where the migration is at the moment, just to give you an idea of how different things are here. The buffalo, as I said, are also enormous. On average, about 200 kilograms heavier than the ones we get in the Sabi Sand. And we've got a collection of Duggar boys who very much lived up to their name. What does that sound? An elephant trumpeting, and it sort of echoed around the mountains. Terry, you would like to know how much longer the rainy season is in the Mara. Apparently these are actually relatively late rains, which is wonderful news for this particular part of Kenya, because it means that the animals have grazing, and of course East Africa has been really struggling with rainfall. I know Tanzania's received very, very little rain. It's a very soggy buffalo, and a lot of northern Kenya as well is facing a really serious drought. This part of southern Kenya, though, has had some late rain, which is fantastic news. It usually, apparently, the rainy season at this time of year usually ends around May. So what are we? We're just in the beginning of June, so it's just a little bit late. The rains were a bit late on Juma as well. Hello, buffalo. H. Macy, you would like to know what is my favorite part of the Mara so far. Sure. Let's talk about areas first. My favorite area so far, I think, has been around the Mara River, around the Talek River system, and around the Sand River. There's still strange sounds coming. Sorry, that's me making strange sounds to try and hear better. I think it might just be the wind howling, actually. It sounds like something's dying. I'm going to go and get a bit closer to where that noise is coming from, just to figure it out. Apparently, the weather is also tricky in Juma, and the wind is howling.
It seems like maybe we're all connected by the stormy weather today. Hopefully Jamie will find a spot where she can be dry and safe from all of the buffalo. I'm pretty sure she'll be able to manage that. But we carry on with our search. So far we've seen one diker that ran away as soon as it saw us. So I'm still hoping for some more creatures. Whew. This radio, sorry, I'm just gonna switch this off because they hurt my ear and that wasn't nice. And now I feel like I'm partially deaf. Alright, luckily I've got two, so I can spare one. Let's see. I had such high hopes for this road today. I think maybe what we're gonna have to do is shake our luck and go somewhere entirely different, and then hopefully we'll get lucky there. What do you guys think? Would probably be a good idea if we did. Right. I am really hoping that this stormy weather is going to either break into a full storm so that we can get rid of it, or that it's going to pass so that we can get rid of it. I think animals don't like it nearly as much as we don't like it. And I mean, if you can imagine, it's not easy to face all of these conditions out there in the bush, but the sky is looking fairly clear, so even to the background or to the back of us, so I'm sure that will help at some point. I was also hoping for some hornbills. They are normally quite friendly and around here, but not today. There seem to be some mongoose right here at the base of this tree that are moving around. So maybe we just have to begin looking for smaller things. So you see they've been coming in and out, and I've seen a few heads pop out and about. Maybe they're also a bit... What was that? I thought I heard elephants maybe in the distance. Come on, little mongoose. No? Are you guys not here? Well, we're gonna wait for the mongoose to come out and say hello, but in the meantime, let's go to Taylor, who's with a friendly giant.
We've gone from one elephant bull to an elephant train of 3 little ones following Mom in the row. Well, they probably all belong to her, but it seems as though she's looking after the kids this afternoon, and that actually doesn't surprise me. I think that there's a lot of babysitting duties that get passed on to the various adult cows, but I'm waiting for them to pop up on the road, because I think that these 3 are going to be quite funny. There we go. Running after them, all tail and legs and trunk and ears. The one at the back has decided that it doesn't care for too many games now. Maybe it'll get a bit more rowdy when it sees its friend in the middle is up for some fun and games. How sweet are they? There it goes, a little bit of a speed wobble as it goes over the bump. They don't seem to have too much control when they're this age. They look fairly young, and the 3 of them actually look like they're around about the same age. We might find a month or a few weeks between each other, but we've been seeing lots and lots of little ones. So maybe Craig, can I draw your attention away? Look at the squirrel that's just run in front of the car. It's just sitting over there. I have to show you. Hello, squirrel. Did you just come in to say hello and then you've been spotted? Now, we're surrounded by elephants, and we will catch up to those youngsters too. And I want to show you how close Craig is to an elephant right now. Look at this. Beautiful big Ellie cow with a glorious cloudy sky. It's actually quite nice, making for a very pretty picture. Feasting on grass at the moment, though this grass doesn't look too tasty. I think that young bull that we had earlier definitely was winning with his tactic of going underneath all the shrubs and picking up the freshest of grass. We have had some amazing luck, and I think that this is the same herd of elephants we found this morning. Now, Tony, you're wondering if the elephant... Oh, there they are again, Craig. Look at them. These particular elephants that we're staring at, you were wondering if she had triplets. No, Tony, I don't think so at all. Like I said, I think 2 of the other moms are avoiding, well, child minding sort of their job today. I think like I said, they've handed it on to one of the other cows, and she's doing a great time. She actually doesn't seem to be too bothered by them. She's just feeding and they're following her. But those 3 will be the best of friends. And off they go. We'll try and get a little bit closer. There's just lots and lots of elephants around at the moment, and also the squirrel is very funny. The squirrel actually keeps coming back. I'm wondering if it's going to pop out again. I don't know if it's maybe a young squirrel. It doesn't look particularly big, but you know what the behavior of squirrels is. Normally there's elephants pushing trees and things down, so I was just making sure we weren't in the way. So I think it might be a young squirrel, maybe a little bit inexperienced, because when they see the cars, the thing that they normally do is run in the opposite direction. We're not particularly close to a lodge, we're actually quite far away, so I don't really think it sees too many people, so for it to behave like that is actually quite interesting. But it seems to be gone. Okay, let's go down to our funny little friend. Oh no, there it is, there's a squirrel, it's just in the grass. See, it's come out on the road again. Look, here it is. Hello. You see, it doesn't look very big. Now, I know the squirrels the tree squirrels aren't particularly large anyway. But look how close it's coming. See, I'm trying to duck out of the way now. That is the closest a squirrel has ever come to me. I know it sounds completely bizarre, but this is really beautiful. Our sightings of them are normally really quick. Hello? What are you after? Are you waiting for the elephants to drop some dung, and perhaps are you going to try and find some fruit that hasn't been eaten yet and it's gone again? That's so funny. Right, let's carry on. Let's go a bit further. I want to find those 3 little naughty elephants. Well, they just look like they're going to be naughty, but I'm going to roll. I just need a bit of momentum here. I want to try and do this quietly. I don't want to make too much noise because there's another large cow in front here. Oh, there's a very angry elephant. The female just charging off into the distance. Can you see that, Craig? Look at her. Where are you off to? I don't know what's going on. Head down on the ground. It looks like she's chasing something. I don't know what she'd possibly be chasing. These ones are now running too. What's wrong? What's wrong? Settle around the cars. Not too quickly now. We haven't done anything, of course. They're reacting to something else. They're all moving forward. Hello? Don't be scared. A young girl, not surprised at her behavior. Where are you going? Look at them. What's gotten underneath your skin, elephants? Oh, I can hear rumbling now. One of the elephants definitely said something. I actually felt a strange vibration, not quite a rumble, it was a different kind of a rumble. And as soon as that happened, they all started moving that way. But it's interesting, it's just those ones that are reacting like that. The rest of the elephants around us are still doing what they were doing, still feeding. They haven't even turned to look at them. That's really quite interesting. I do actually want to just remind the guys that I have an elephant sighting here if they want to come and join me. It's very nice. Let's go down here. We'll go quietly again. No, I think the Torchwood Pride was found on Buffels Hook or something like that, so it seems that's where all the guards are on their way to, so maybe they're not going to be interested in elephants. We are, though. We're going to stay here for as long as they stay on the roads. Hi! And you see, they're not, like I said, so I thought, watching elephants run like this, I thought their behavior was going to change completely. I thought they would maybe be a little less tolerant of the cars than what they normally are. But they don't seem to mind us at all, so I really don't know what to say as to what actually went wrong over them and why those elephants ran off like that. But we'll find out. They seem to be settling down quite nicely. Ellie has managed to change her luck slightly. She's getting there. She's found the most common antelope in Africa, and I'm sure it's a beautiful sight.
A beautiful sight it is. Lots of youngsters, lots of boys around here, and I think they are all keeping each other company, likely because they all have a broken heart. Isn't that dramatic? No. Now, in more seriousness, I think all of these boys around here, we've bumped into a herd of bachelors, so just males as far as we can see. And very likely what happened is we've got different ages. So we've got some of the youngsters that were chased off their herd as soon as the rutting season began, and then we likely are also seeing some of the males that could only hold the dominance over a particular herd of females for a few days at a time before they got kicked out and they had to retreat and regain their strength and start eating again before trying their attempt once more at all the ladies. So I think there are maybe about 10 of them hiding in between all of the bushes and just one that is outside, and he seems to be one of the older ones, judging just by how big his horns are and the fact that they are slightly facing away from each other. I think the rest of the boys around here that I can see, their horns are still slightly curved towards the inside, so I would say they are about maybe 2 years old, whereas this one that we're looking at, perhaps somewhere around 4, getting into the peak of his time. I'm sure maybe next rutting season he'll be able to fare a bit better. They keep looking in that area. I wonder if perhaps they had spotted something, because they were all looking, and we are roughly or in the vicinity where we last had Amber Eyes and the rest of the Nkuhuma, so I was hoping that maybe we would see any tracks for lions around here, but unfortunately it seems that's not quite the case. They are still all hiding. Well, The impalas are also hiding. We shall carry on trying to spice our luck up and see what else we can find, but let's go to Taylor, who's walking with the elephants. Well, not walking, driving.
I wish I was walking with these elephants. I wish I was walking with these elephants, or driving with them. How cool is this? They're just disappearing now into this drainage line, and it sounds like they're pushing a tree over. I'm not sure what tree they're pushing over. I can't see them. There's one cow that's not very happy with somebody in that herd. It was the same one that had her head down and was sort of running with her ears flared, not making any sounds. And she just pushed down a tree, and then I just sort of saw her charge at something. I don't know what she's got in there, but the rest of the elephants are very relaxed. It's like she's sort of just the problem elephant, and everybody in the family has learnt to ignore her antics because no one else is reacting. I'm wondering if we go... Oh, hang on. Somebody's getting reprimanded in there. And they're just hiding behind the quarries. Somebody just got shouted at. It might have been that cow, them sort of saying to her, "You calm down now, stop it." Because they've settled again. Can you hear all that crashing of the trees? That bird you can hear is a crested barbet singing its beautiful call, in case you were wondering. See, now they're relaxing again. That big elephant is not taking anybody's nonsense. She's very casual about things. She's obviously quite old and been through a number of different scenarios like this, and just thought it's actually not even worth me blinking an eyelid, but just shouting when I need to shout to remind everybody. Let's go a little bit further ahead. Right. Now, we saw that elephant, we didn't see it, we heard the elephant pushing the tree over, and Lee, you're wondering why elephants do that. Well, Lee, it's very important, especially everything's going to start to get drier. The grass is going to go first, and then there's a whole lot of... We are not going to go to that. Right, it seems as though there's some gremlins aboard. Lee, I promise I'll get back to your question. Let's go back across to Ali.
Those gremlins, they've been naughty today. We apologize for that. We are working on fighting them off and getting our superpowers back. But in the meantime, we shall wonder about why those vultures are flying all the way over there. Let me just see where we can have a bit of a better look at them. Are you guys coming down? Okay, alright. So Sam can see them perched. I haven't spotted them yet, but let's go and lucky. There's something around there. It's always investigating. Because I've had them perched not too far from here now. Let's go and have a bit of a... Who knows, maybe we'll get lucky. Sometimes, though, because it's so cold and they start roosting maybe slightly earlier. But I am really hoping that's not the case. One of them is up that tree and now flying away. Where did you see the rest of them?
No,
just
it was him, I could see it.
Okay. Alright, we're gonna explore, but in the meantime, let's go to Taylor, who's still in the company of the elephants.
We're still with them. We've moved away from the very angry elephant. I'm all for young elephant bulls being... Well, I'm not all for it, but I understand when young elephant bulls are throwing a tantrum and then behaving badly. That's okay, but it always makes me a little bit nervous when an elephant cow is completely freaking out. And I'm not sure why. She's obviously got her reasons why. But the rest of the herd seem to be ignoring her. They don't seem to be tolerating her too much. But I did see her just run up to a car and hit the brakes right next to it. So we're going to avoid her. We'll stay with these elephants, which are a lot calmer and don't seem to mind us at all. She's obviously just got a bee in her bonnet about something and is taking it out on anybody that's willing to hang around. Now, this little one is doing a sterling job at picking up grass. It's still obviously learning to train its trunk though, and using its feet now. You can tell that it's a little bit much older than those ones we saw earlier, the terrible 3. Now, John, you were wondering if elephants ever lose their balance and fall over like we as humans do. Most certainly. I've watched elephants tumble time and time again. Yes, little cheeky. Hello, little boy. And I'm not worried about that. That's just him. He's being playful and seeing if he can get a reaction from us. And an elephant of this size would not be sort of brave enough to come right up to the car and touch it and smash into it. It's all just a big show with these youngsters. So yes, John, there's actually that video of that newborn elephant that Jamie had the most amazing sighting, remember? And maybe some of you can share it. If you have got it, you can hashtag Safari Live and then John can see. But this elephant actually loses its footing and then tumbles down the side of a bank. And that's not an uncommon sight to see. You sometimes see Impala lambs bounding about when they've just got their new legs or realizing that they can use them to spring and stuff, and sometimes they fall in a hole. And so yes, it's definitely possible. I think I must be one of the clumsiest humans around because I'm always forever tripping and falling over things. I wouldn't be a very good elephant or a giraffe. Maybe a giraffe because it's further from the ground to try and stand up. But isn't this light just lovely? I think it's just such a beautiful scene that we've got here. Peaceful Ellies stretching out to reach some nice delicious leaves, lovely blue skies. Not quite, the skies aren't as dramatic as the skies you were seeing with Jamie in Kenya. We've got a couple of clouds and some darker ones in the distance, but they don't particularly look like rain clouds, so I think that we're going to be safe and we won't have to be dodging the rain, bringing our umbrellas out, putting our rain covers on. So it would be good for the bush, but I also hope that we don't get any more rain, and I hope we get a proper winter in the sands, just because we'll get all the different herbivores coming back, the big groups of them coming back here. And that will bring predators too, bring the lions back here too. Now, we're going to see if we can find some more of these elephants, ones that aren't angry. Let's go across to Ali's feathery friend.
No! He just flew away! We just had a beautiful crested barbet, 2 of them, and both of them flown away. I think I don't have a fairy friend anymore. I think my fairy friend doesn't really like me, and he's gone. But let me show you in the book what they look like, because they're very pretty birds. However, a lot to be desired about their social skills. I'm talking to you 2 over there. This is the one that we were looking at, this beautiful crested barbet. So we'll often see him moving around and making his call. That is quite an entertaining call. Let me also play it for you, seeing that they are all the way away and they don't really want to cooperate with us. But they're one of the common creatures that we see around here, and they're always so funny. And they I don't know, they look like punk stars to me. Right. Let me find their call for everyone and we'll be able to hear it out. So, the punk star bird, that actually sounds like he's a drummer. I reckon that if barbets were rock stars, maybe they would be the drummers, because it sounds like, you know, and people go crazy on the drums. I don't know too much about drumming, but that to me is pretty much the way it sounded like. Alright, the vultures flying around, I think one of them was just coming down to one of their nests, so not too much around there, unfortunately. I had, hope that we would find something dead with a lot of lions attached to it, but not the case. But let's go check around there, maybe, you never know. This is the area where apparently all of the leopards like to be around. So we've had Shadow around here and her cub, we've had Shongile, we've had Tingana, I'm sure Hosanna was here, Tamba was here, Tandy was here not too long ago. Oh, but look at that pretty squirrel. That's just pretty. Don't go away, please, squirrel, we would like to see you. I think it's eating a nut. Hello? Yes, it's eating a nut. What are you eating? It looks like an old marula fruit. I think that's what it is. So inside of the fruits of the marula, there are 2 or 3 little nuts, and I think exactly that's what the squirrel is trying to get to. Because they will, just pretty much like in the story, sometimes they will bury the fruits in different areas, and then they start looking for them once food sources become a bit rare to find. Huh. So you were actually eating a marula fruit. Well, the nuts of the marula. Ha! Well, we're gonna carry on searching for the invisible lions, and while we do that, why don't we go over to Taylor, who's enjoying a lovely afternoon with the elephants.
We are, but we are being charged. This little elephant that's got water all over its head and on its trunk is charging us. Now, I think this is Mom that's come through here to investigate as to why the little one is trumpeting so much. You see that? She sort of said, hey, what's going on here? Now, look, of course, yeah, now you're not so brave anymore. I think it got a bit of a talking to. It got told to stop bothering the nice people, and Mom is whisking it away. But it was doing a very typical thing that little elephants like to do, is run up to the cars and show how big and strong they are. Now, of course, Craig and I were just filled with giggles, and I don't think that little elephant was very impressed, but there it goes, full speed ahead, charging off into the distance. It's probably seen a bird. Yeah, there it trumpets. You're a funny little thing. Mom, you've got hard work ahead of you this afternoon. I hope you're ready for that. And then every now and then stopping and diving head first into a little elephant well. So just an area where the elephants are dug for water. That's what it's doing now. And Mom's also going in for a bit of a drink. She's sort of saying, come on now, move out the way. Let me have some. Let me make it better for you. Let me get you clean water. And of course, this is all very important, these interactions that the little ones have with their mothers. Are you hogging that little spot there? That's a bit rude. You're supposed to give other animals a chance too. You can't have it all for yourself. Let's see if it is drinking water. I think it is, because it keeps running to all the little holes around here, finding one that's got water in. And Mom, what are you doing at the back? Looked like she may have been scooping some sand out just behind the trunk of that tree. Yeah, she's using her feet now too, so I think she is going to dig a hole. Now, Rakesh, you're wondering if elephants can survive without water for a month. I've never followed elephants for that long. I think that's an exceptionally long time. You know what, Rakesh, I think it depends on a number of different things. I don't think quite a month. I think that might be a little bit long time, considering that they need to drink every single day and they drink over 120 litres of water a day. I don't think that that's fairly possible. It wouldn't surprise me if they went a day or two without water, because sometimes elephants have to travel very, very, very far distances in order to find food. So when they do those long journeys, say from the south of Namibia all the way to the north of Namibia, then yes, maybe they do go past, but they're able to dig for water. So as soon as they sense that the water table is high enough, they will actually try and find it. A lot of the vegetation that they feed on, if it is lush, contains a certain amount of water. So yes, they'll be getting a small amount of it, but I don't think quite a month. But that's of course just my opinion. This is a massive herd of elephants. I think we underestimated, or we just got the tail end of this breeding herd this morning, unless it's not just one family, unless there's a couple of different families that have all joined up together, because we have been just seeing elephant track after elephant track littered all over the property. So that's also another possibility, but they're coming from every angle. We've got this little one down there who's got its face hidden away, and then we've got a whole lot still starting to come down the banks, and I think they're going to come down and towards us too. Mom, are you going to just shuffle that little one out of the way and take over there? I think you'd probably do a better job than that one who hasn't trained its trunk very well. We're making more of a mess than anything. But what a great way to spend a Friday afternoon, surrounded by elephants. Now, Dee and Nona, you've asked an interesting question. You're wondering if elephants can have two calves at once, essentially. And And I wonder if that's come about because of that sighting we had a few minutes ago, with the 3 little ones that looked like triplets running after one elephant cow. They can indeed. They most certainly can. However, I can't imagine how unpleasant that would be for an elephant cow. It's hard enough carrying one calf for 22 months. Can you imagine carrying 2 of them? So it is not very common. And I think if she were to have had 2, I don't know if one would have developed properly or if one will even survive. I've never seen twin calves before. Maybe some of you have seen it. Maybe there's a documentary perhaps done on twin elephant calves, but it's not something that I've ever experienced. Right, now there's an elephant just up here. I actually want to see if I can get a better view. She's got a streak of golden light on her, but she looked like she was going to have a dust bath, and that would be absolutely stunning to be able to see. So let's see if we can get another opportunity.
Seems like it all happened one bump that was a bit higher than what I thought. And then Taylor, I know she's fighting off the gremlins, so I don't know why they're so bad this afternoon, and we apologize. We are working to try and get it fixed and sorted as soon as possible. Now, there's a crested barbet up there, so hopefully this one will not fly away, so that you guys manage to see it, because I'm really hoping that it's going to sail the way over there. Come on. Yes, we caught you. Please don't go away. Isn't it pretty? It is definitely one of the prettiest mean-looking little birds that we've got around here, and hopefully he's going to turn around and come from behind that. No, hopefully nothing, because he's decided to go away. Alright. Fair enough. At least we managed to be quick enough. Or, he was slow enough not to fly away. I think it was more that than anything else. And who knows, maybe he was toying with the idea of becoming a TV star. Were you?